Welcome to memoQ Talks, where we talk to industry leaders about their experiences, lessons learned, and what works best across all areas of localization. Now here's your host.
Welcome to this newest episode of memoQ Talks. Today my guest is Zsófia Lelner, who works with memoQ in product marketing. Previously, she was a content creator where she was using her copywriting skills. It is safe to say that she is an essential part of the memoQ team. Zsófi, welcome to memoQ Talks.
Thank you for having me. Hi.
I have also asked Zsófi to work with us as a host of future memoQ Talks episodes. And we thought it was a good idea to introduce her to the audience in greater detail. Not that such an introduction would not be interesting on its own accord, but without citing this pretext, but this hopefully makes it even more interesting. Well, my preparation routine in interviews like that is to check what my guest is saying about herself in her LinkedIn profile and potentially in other social channels. And this is also my plan today. But first, let me ask, what led you to memoQ? What caught your attention when you first applied or just came to us?
Okay. So my background is actually in linguistics. I have a degree from Eötvös Loránd University in Budapest in linguistics and English theoretical linguistics. So I have always been drawn to languages. I learned German, French, and English back in high school. And I started out at university to become a teacher, a language teacher. I wanted to become a teacher of English and French. But finally, I ended up with a theoretical linguistics diploma instead. So languages have always been a part of my interests, my personality. I've always enjoyed learning new languages and new cultures, also traveling. And this opportunity actually came to me via a colleague that we were working together with at a different company. So I was at my previous workplace, and my best friend from the company, who is also a marketer, interviewed at memoQ for a digital marketing position. Finally, it wasn't the right fit, but she did encourage me to interview for the content position. And I did interview, and I got here.
Thank you. And I think we can be grateful that you did end up with us. But still, I'm interested in this theoretical linguistics background, especially as I was kicked out of the same program. Well, not 100% the same, because I applied for the PhD program where I simply didn't get in. But as you had this theoretical linguistics background, how did you end up in marketing?
Okay, that's a very interesting story, I think. So one of my best friends has a marketing background, and back in 2016ish, I think, she started her own company, and she told me that she wanted to focus on the business side of things, and she needed someone to do search engine optimization and copywriting. And she knew that I was always interested in writing, mostly academic writing at that point, but writing in general. So she asked me whether I wanted to help her with her marketing materials. And I said, sure, why not? It would be a nice experience for me. And a little bit of money, of course. And so I started working for her, and she started teaching me about marketing. And then I got my first real marketing job soon after this. And I've been in marketing ever since.
Okay. Again, I can say that we are lucky that you are, and I'm really grateful that you actually find your way back in a way or another to languages and the language industry and language technologies.
Absolutely.
But let's see what you say about yourself. So you make a few statements in your profile, and I just want to know, and probably the audience is interested in that too. What is your story about each of these? What was the reason you became passionate about these? What is the part that you are most passionate about these things, and everything else that you want to say about it? So the first thing you say about yourself is that you are an aspiring product manager. So tell us about it. And I know you recently shifted from content marketing to product marketing, but what's behind this? What drove you?
Okay. So I think it says aspiring product marketer, right? Not manager.
Product marketer. Yeah.
Okay.
Did I say manager? Okay. That's,
No
I
worries.
need to
No
learn to
worries.
read. Okay. No problem.
Well, yeah, it could be that actually at one point, but right now I really enjoy being a
But it
product.
says product marketer. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, definitely. So, as you said in my introduction, I started out as a content marketer at memoQ. I spent almost 3 years in the content team. But if there are other content marketers listening to this, you know what I'm going to be talking about. So if you spend 3 years in content, especially copywriting, it can become a little bit of a burden and a little bit like it's the same every day. You just push out the content, you write a blog post, it's ready, then you can start preparing another one. And that was becoming a little bit heavy for me and for my personality. There are people who can do this for a very long time, but to me, I don't want to say I started to burn out, but I think that if I had continued this for a long time, it would have led to burnout. And there was this opportunity in-house where the product marketing team, which was one person at that time, was going to expand. And I asked the team lead, Damien, about the position, about what would be needed to transition into this role. And I had some discussions with my team lead at the time, the content marketing team lead, and the marketing team lead. So I talked to a lot of people about this, and everyone was very supportive. Everyone agreed that I would be a good candidate with my content background to transition into this role. And there was a period, I would say it was 2 or 3 months, where I was doing half this and half that. And finally, I think around June this year, I transitioned fully into the product marketing role. And I really enjoy it. It's much more strategic than my content role, but I still have some tasks around content creation and message creation and storytelling, which I am absolutely into. And I still have a long way ahead of me. I have a lot to learn. I just concluded my first big project in my new role. It was a roller coaster, and I learned a lot, and I will keep learning a lot. And that's my story, basically.
Thank you very much. I will have a follow-up question about that, but first let's go through the other things that you say. Actually, the next one I can relate to very much. I raised 2.5 dogs. I'm saying 2.5 because when we got the third one, I moved away from home, so from my parents' home. But you say that you're mom to the best dog ever, and
Correct. Yes.
anything that you want to say about this, really?
Okay. So for this question, I actually had to look at the calendar because I knew that it was around this time that my dog arrived into my life 4 years ago. So it was around COVID. I just moved out from an apartment where I had roommates, and I was living on my own for the first time ever. And it was also COVID, so COVID was part of the story, I think, but not entirely, because I have been wanting a dog for a long time. And I was like, okay, what is a solution? So I wasn't entirely sure whether I wanted to be a dog owner. So I was like, okay, what's something that's like owning a dog, but it's not as permanent? So I found fostering. and I wanted to start fostering dogs. I found I wouldn't want to say like an organization, but it was basically a group of friends who took dogs from a shelter, and that they fostered these dogs and they prepared them for their forever home. And I was like, okay, I can do this. It was a very good opportunity. I talked to them. I sent them my info, my introduction, everything. And they told me, okay, we have this dog. He can go and live with you now. And I was like, sure, why not? I can foster him. I can prepare him for his life in a forever family. And I kid you not, by the second day, I knew that this dog wasn't going anywhere. His name is Banksy. He just turned 5 this November on paper, because he was a street dog, so we don't know his exact age, but on paper he just turned 5. And we are the best duo. I love him so much. I teach him. We go on walks. We go on hikes. He's amazing. It's called a foster fail, when you start fostering a dog and then you just cannot give him up. So he's my foster fail.
Yes. I would say I know the feeling, but all the dogs that we raised were meant to be our own. But yeah, but in a way, I know the feeling.
Everyone has the best dog, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. The next one is more serious. You also say you are a women's rights activist, and I know that when we are recording this, we are only a few days past I'm not sure I'm quoting this 100% correctly, but the World Day against violence against women. I don't know what it's called in English because I only saw it in Hungarian, but that accentuates this role, and I also know that you take this very seriously and are quite active in this capacity of yours. So anything you want to tell about this?
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know what this day is called either in English. I know it's in Hungarian too. And just this weekend, we had an event connected to this day, where I took part, and I provided information on our organization to people who were interested. So the way it started is a little bit, it's not as serious as one might think, because it started with me watching Law and Order. And there was an episode on Law and Order about like an underground railroad for women who were in abusive relationships, and it was about how this group of people saves them and helps them escape from those situations. And I was like, okay, I could do this. This sounds very good. And I looked at the statistics, and the majority of women are have experience with some type of abuse. So I was like, okay, this is very serious, and I really want to do something about this. So I looked up the opportunities, and I found the organization that I'm active in right now. If you want to translate it, it would be called Women for Women Together Against Violence. And we do a lot of things, actually. We have a phone line, a crisis line, where we give information and we help women who are in abusive situations, or who have experienced violence or sexual violence or any type of, who live in, who are forced to do sex work. I think those are the major groups that we are targeting. And they do a lot of other things. We go to festivals to provide information to the public. We go to schools to help prevent abusive situations. We provide education to boys and girls as well. It's very we do a lot of things, basically. And I've been doing this since February. I had to complete a course to start working. And in September, I took my first, we don't call it an exam, but let's say I took my first exam. And now I can answer the phone calls, but only when another experienced operator is present. And I'm on my way to becoming like a full-on domestic violence crisis counselor. It's very exciting. It's very, very, very much needed in Hungary, but I would say it's needed all over the world. I've learned so much, and now I'm much braver to get into conversations about this topic. So it gave me a lot, and I am giving back. So it's very good for me.
Thank you very much for talking about this. And yes, this is very important. This is a very very honorable, very important work, and we cannot emphasize enough for people to reach out if they even know anyone in this situation. We will include names and links in the description of this video.
Oh, thank you for that.
So again, thank you for talking about this, and I think this is going to be one of the most important parts of this conversation. However, now we need to move on, this next one is something that we touched upon already, but I still want to ask you what attracted you to that, what still attracts you to that, and I'm talking about your statement to be a linguistics graduate.
Yeah.
And you add that you are still an enthusiast, which is again something I can relate to very much. But how is this in more words?
Okay, so yeah, I mentioned before that I've always been drawn into language learning and languages, and I don't think I said this, but my mom is an English teacher too, and I think she was my inspiration to look into language learning and eventually maybe becoming a language teacher, which I didn't end up doing. But I think this was one of the factors that, I don't want to say like pushed me towards this, but inspired me to go into languages. And then there was university where I wanted to start the teacher training program, and I think it was maybe my second linguistics class. It wasn't the first, because I remember that the first one was with Adam Nadasdi, which was absolutely interesting. It was amazing. But it was my second linguistics class, which was a syntax class. And I was sitting in the auditorium, and that teacher was talking about syntax so passionately, so interestingly, that I was like, okay, I need to learn more about this. So I started going into syntax. I started learning about it in like going deeper into it. And I realized that part of linguistics is about logic and math and seeing the patterns between words and phrases and constructions. I loved drawing syntactic trees, and then I went to Konstanz, Germany, for my Erasmus. It turned into a year. It was going to be one semester, but it became two. I spent 2 years in Konstanz, and I started learning about computational linguistics. I started learning programming, and it was just so amazing that everything that I love about language, everything I love about, I don't know, poetry, about reading, about every story I read, it can be written down in terms of math. And I found that, or code, or a syntactic tree, whatever, and it has these connections, these patterns, and you can group languages, you can group sounds. It was so fascinating to me. And I did think for a while about going into academic work in linguistics, but I haven't felt that kind of dedication yet. I'm not saying it's never going to happen, but for now, I'm happy where I am.
Thank you. Yeah, interestingly enough, languages and mathematics has a deep connections. In some institutions, this is forgotten. But for instance, my story with linguistics comes from engineering school.
Okay.
That's where I first studied mathematical linguistics and how
Right.
it's being used in various engineering situations, like in communication protocols.
Mm-hmm.
So there wouldn't be mobile phones and internet and whatever without mathematical linguistics. So this is how deep it goes.
Yes.
So, thank you for that. And this last one of your statements is I wouldn't say the most fascinating, but it is fascinating enough. It says hobby singer and musician. So you spend a considerable part of your life with music and with tunes and with songs and
Correct.
how is that and what does that mean to you?
Okay, so a little bit of insider info. You shared these questions with me before the interview.
I
I
did.
started counting and started remembering how music started in my life. And I literally cannot name a time in my life where I wasn't surrounded by music. So the first memory that I can think of comes from the age of 4, where I was in kindergarten. There was I think there was either a Christmas party or some kind of party for the kids and their parents. And I don't know how I ended up with the microphone, but I ended up with a microphone singing a Hungarian song about Winnie the Pooh. That was my first. That's the first thing that pops into my head when someone asks me, "Okay, so what's your first memory about music?" That's it. That's the kindergarten thing with Winnie the Pooh. And then I started music school at the age of 6, and ever since then, it's just a very big part of my life. I did a little bit of music theory, of course. And then I started, my mom wanted me to start out with piano, but I didn't want that. I wanted to play the violin, so she let me. Thank you, Mom. She let me play the violin, so I did the violin for a while, and then I kind of admitted that my mom was right, and the piano suited me better, so I started learning the piano. And meanwhile, all the while, I became part of a percussion band. I played in that band for more than 10 years, and my favorite memories from my high school years come from that band. We went to a lot of competitions. We were together a lot, not only in the rehearsals, but outside the rehearsals too. We had such a bond. One of my best friends from that band I'm still in touch with. So yeah, I learned a lot about myself, about music. Oh yeah, and then I did learn a little bit of classical singing when I went to high school. And singing is just, I think every person has a kind of art that is the closest to them. To me, that's singing. I can express myself best through song, I think. And yeah, I really love singing. I love the feelings and the emotions it gives me. I love that people react to my singing. And I love that I can provide something for people who like music. Yeah, Yeah, this is a little bit all over the place, but I think you know what I mean.
It wasn't all over the place at
Yeah.
all. It was quite concise, as the way I heard it. And yeah, thank you again. And there's one thing, and I really don't want to cut anything out of this recording. So for now, I'm saying that after we are done recording this, we will discuss if we can share anything in the description or in a comment, or as a link in the video. This is not a promise. So this is something that for the audience to know that we will discuss it afterwards. But I don't want to cut anything. So this is why I mention it the way I do.
Okay.
Again, thank you very much. And let's turn to slightly more more serious topics. No, actually, music is one of the most fundamental things in life, and this is something that I very deeply agree with you. But still, it's. I want to talk a bit more about work. Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way. So I want to return to your current role of product marketer at memoQ. And I want to ask you about the aspiration. What is the impact you seek to make? What is the goal that you aspire to achieve? What is it that you dream of learning through this?
Okay. So I think I mentioned before that this is a bit more strategic, actually a lot more strategic than my content role. And yeah, I've had my first bigger project where I had to build a project up from the ground, let's say. So it involved a little bit of everything that connects to product marketing. So I had to do research internally with our team. I had to do research externally about what the status quo is in the industry. So yeah, there was the research part. I had to think about positioning. I had to think about whether there is such a solution already on the market. And if so, then what makes us different? I had to craft the messaging. I had to find out what value we bring to our customers that maybe our competitors cannot, or what we do in different ways, how we can stand out. And I had to craft the messaging based on this. And then after that, I had to brief a lot of people in the marketing team about what we can do next, what channels we're going to use, how we're going to utilize those channels, what we say in a press release, what we say in a PPC campaign, in a paid advertisement campaign, and what collaterals we might need. So it was very interesting, and I could gain experience in many areas of product marketing. And I do have an academic background. I love doing research, and I really enjoyed that I could do a lot of research in the process. So when you ask me about aspirations, I would love to do more research, and I do have the opportunity to do this research because one of my other projects that connects to product marketing, and it's become an as usual thing that I do, is an internal newsletter where I report about the status of the market, about the language industry, and what's currently on the market, what are the trends, what people are doing, what people are interested in. So yeah, I can definitely utilize my research skills there, and I would like to improve those research skills, of course. I really enjoy owning projects. In my content role, I was mostly doing work in other people's projects, but now I have my own projects, and it gives me a sense of purpose, I would say, and that I can I, of course, consult many people from our sales team, from production, from all over, and I do my external research as well. But I can make some of the decisions together with other people. I can shape the messaging a little bit to my taste and to what I think is going to work in that context. And yeah, basically, I would like to learn more and more about product marketing. And I would like to have processes within the organization that everyone is happy with. And I would like to include more data in our operations, internal and external data, more interviews, more questions, more answers, more everything. So I think that would be my aspirations.
Thank you very much. And actually, this leads me to the next question that is about the language industry.
Yeah.
And because I think it is safe to say that you have been taking a deep dive into the language industry.
Yeah.
You have a view of what the various stakeholders of the industry do, how they operate, what the role of technology is, what the role of our technology is, what the possibilities are. And I really just wanted to ask you how you see today's language industry. What is your view of the controversies that abound in our community? What do you think is the future of human involvement in multilingual, cross-lingual communication? We talk about translation less and less because the tasks connecting to multilingual communication and localization are becoming more complex. But I don't want to. I really don't want to steal your thunder, and
no, please do.
not really curious about my my opinion, but I really want to hear and want the audience to hear what you think about it. It's what you have seen, because
yeah.
Although you have been taking this deep dive, you have fresher eyes than some of us do, and that means that you might be free of the effects of the echo chambers that we are confined to.
Yeah. Well, I did say please steal my thunder, because I don't think I'm there yet. And yeah, I still have a lot of preconceptions about the language industry, I think. And I think this is part due to the fact that I come from a very artistic, very humanities background. So to me, I think it was around 2 years ago where ChatGPT started coming into our lives, and I got very scared. I'm not gonna lie, I got really scared because I was in content, and I did try ChatGPT, and I did try AI. Like, okay, let's see what it can do. Is it better than me? And I wouldn't say it was better, but it was not bad. And this got me thinking. You heard this cliche phrase everywhere: is AI going to take my job? And I was really scared that it would take my job in content. It hasn't yet. And I don't think that AI will ever be able to replace humans. I stand by this. But I do think that it can be an enrichment to our lives. So I was thinking in terms of marketing, of course, because that's my background. And I was thinking, okay, could a whole marketing campaign be translated or adapted to a new market via AI? I don't think it can, because marketing relies a lot on language. It relies a lot on evoking emotions. And I think that's the thing, that AI is very good at many things. It can collect information, synthesize information, give me the gist of something that I don't necessarily have the time to read, but it's not going to evoke the emotions that, for example, a poem can. or a marketing slogan can. So I think that our task right now in the language industry is to find the balance, because when we talk about the translation industry, I think AI can be good to help translate, like, in mass. If you have a manual, if you have a 200-page manual about something and you want to translate it to 50 languages, it might be easier to do so with AI and more cost effective. But on the other hand, if you want to translate something else, if you want to translate art, a book, if you want to translate marketing material, AI is not going to cut it. You're going to need a human to do that. And I will go further. You might even need a human from the cultural environment that you are trying to adapt something to do your translation, to localize, to help people, to help get the message through and get the emotions through. Because okay, I can read the translation of something word by word that has been translated from another language, but it's not going to have the same effect on me. And we want that effect. And for that effect, we need a human. So I think it's going to be about balance. It's scary right now. It's scary to me as well. This whole AI shenanigans. But once we find the nuances, I think it's going to be okay. And it's going to give us more freedom to get to the challenging materials and to translate the things that really make a difference, if you get what I mean.
Absolutely do, and I think this is one of the best answers about this fully to these questions that I've heard lately, and it's all about finding the balance. And I just want to add two things here which came up in very recent conversations. One of them is that the main thing about AI is that it cannot take responsibility. So whenever you have to take responsibility for the content, you're translating a medical device, even if it's a manual, or about medication, or about heavy industrial machinery.
Yeah.
You need the human there, because the human is the one that needs to take responsibility for the content that's being translated. So this is one of the things, and the other is one of my pet peeves here, is that change has been underway for decades now. So translation, one of the best articles about creating a cat tool was written in 1980 by Martin Kay. And it describes in frighteningly accurate detail the translation environments that exist today. So and the community, the professional community, has been adapting to these changes.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that today's situation is much different to others. And this is the statement that might spark some controversies, but I will stand by this, like you will. And yes, it's about finding the balance. But that again leads me to the next question that I like asking my guests towards the end of the interview, and it's about learning new stuff. Because obviously when you talk about adapting to changes, then learning new skills, adapting existing skills always comes up, and sometimes it comes up in a very rude way, that just someone posted on social media earlier today an email that she got saying that, come on, you're outdated, go and learn a new profession.
Oh.
And obviously we don't put it that harshly, but I can also attest to the benefit of learning a new profession every now and then. Not because you became useless in the existing role,
Yeah.
but because you are interested, you want to make you want to make an impact in a way or another. And so this is how I'm asking you if there's, and I know that you're a person of many talents and you know a whole lot of things already, but is there anything new that you're interested in or dreaming of learning?
Okay. So I think I mentioned a lot of things in my professional life that I would like to improve about myself and my skills. One of the things that I'm currently quite passionate about is the storytelling angle of product marketing. In part because it feels safe, because it was part of my content work, and I think it's a nice easing into, because I am still easing into my new role. So storytelling, I would really like to complete a storytelling course. And as I mentioned, I would like to do a lot more research, and yeah, improve my research skills. And yeah, right now this is, oh, one more. I would like to, when it comes to memoQ, I keep realizing, like, every time I talk to someone internally, I realize how complex it is. And there are so many things still that I don't know about memoQ after being here for 3.5 years. And I am always trying to learn more about what memoQ can do, what features it has, how it can help more and more people, more and more translators. And actually, I found, I'm hoping that the listeners here have been looking at the 90-second videos. I find them very, very good, where a solution engineer or someone from the team explains a feature or something that you can do in memoQ. I find them fascinating. I learned so much about memoQ from these little videos. So I would like to improve that as well. So I would like to learn even more about memoQ. And I keep thinking of new things. Sorry. So for the end of the year, I found, I would, yeah. I'm just gonna write out, say it. It's like an AI and MT for dummies course, because since we acquired Globalies, and I am heavily involved in the Globally side of things within memoQ, I feel that I really need to learn more about AI and MT and LLM and how it can improve our services. So I really want to take a deep dive into AI.
Thank you. I'm hearing a lot of enthusiasm, and actually, just one thing that came to mind, that I learn new things about memoQ pretty much. Maybe not
Yeah.
every day because I'm not involved in the technical aspect anymore, but like every week, and I
Yeah.
was one of the original designers. So I mean, you have nothing to be ashamed about.
And it's grown a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like I don't even have the metaphor or the comparison here, so I'm not trying to give any. Thank you for being with us today. I have one
Thank
last
you for
question.
having me. Okay.
I have one last question, and in that context, in this company, I cannot say I'm a fellow music nerd because all I do passionately about music is listen to it.
That still makes you a music nerd.
Uh, yeah, let's have these debates some other time. But
Okay.
but I still like to would like to ask, what is your jam right now? What would you recommend people read, watch, or listen to?
Okay.
And yes, I did copy paste this from another interview, but this doesn't make it any less interesting.
Not at all, no. Okay, so my current jam is cliche again, but it's Chapel Roan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she came into my so I first discovered her around April, where I saw her Coachella performance of Good Luck Babe, which was her new song at the time. And I started going to people saying, okay, watch this girl. She's going places. And now she has 6 Grammy nominations, and she's coming out with a new album, which is going to have a country song. I love country, so I cannot wait. So she is my current jam. And I actually went back to my Spotify. I'm very, very excited about Spotify Wrapped. I think it's going to come out within like 2 weeks or something. I'm really interested in what it's going to say about me. But my current jam has also been Kate Bush. I had never really listened to Kate Bush before, but I discovered her, I think it was through a Reddit thread where someone recommended Babushka to someone. And I listened to Babushka and I was like, she has such an interesting voice. I need to listen to her discography. So I did. I love Kate Bush right now. And I keep going back to 70s, like very chill music. I love Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks. I keep going back to Stevie Nicks. I also like Taylor Swift. I have my friendship bracelets here. And one of them actually says Stevie Nicks because there is a song that Stevie Nicks is mentioned in. And yeah, I think those are my most listened to artists right now. Reading I haven't really done lately, to be honest. I've been reading short stories, but I haven't really read novels. But maybe in the Christmas break. Oh,
Yeah,
and
number one are in this situation, which I have to admit myself. But yeah,
yeah. And one last thing, I always go really early into the Christmas spirit.
Yes.
So I've been listening to Pentatonics a lot. Pentatonics are my Christmas music, basically.
Yeah.
And right now there is a movie. It's called Meet Me Next Christmas that Pentatonics plays a huge part in. It's a very fun movie, very romantic, very cliche. I've been using that word a lot in this interview.
Nothing wrong with cliches. Nothing.
But it's a very fun movie. I really recommend it if you like Pentatonics and if you like these super romantic Christmas movies. I really recommend that one.
Thank you very much. And I know Zsófi enough to safely say that you cannot go wrong with her recommendations. So
thank you.
Thank you very much. So again, thank you for being with me. And I look forward to working with you more because we said this at the beginning of this interview that Zsófi will hopefully be one of the hosts of future memoQ Talks episodes, and we expect this channel to grow a lot.
Yeah,
and
thank you
to
for
help
that.
to help us with that, please be sure to like and subscribe and comment on this video. Thank you very much. Thank you, Zsófi, again, and I wish you every success in your role. And
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
much.
much.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited about this project.
Thank you, and goodbye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you for joining memoQ Talks, where we talked with industry leaders about their experiences and lessons learned to gain new insights about what works best across all areas of localization. Join us next time on memoQ Talks.